But look at the gobbledygook in there. Woo-wee. And there they are going down into the tank. And you put all your parts into the parts cleaner. You should make sure you put the carburetor in too. I was gone for a couple hours and I came back and I was going to start working on this, and yes, the carburetor is sitting here on the bench. So I proceeded to put the carburetor into the tank and went about doing some other things. I fixed the bicycle. Decided that one bicycle is beyond repair because the front fork is broken or been dented in, so it doesn't function properly. So that took care of that problem. And the other one, I got the tires pumped up on it and got everything in it, all the gears working properly. Had to make some adjustments on the brakes, some adjustments on the what's the word I want? Come on now. The adjustment for the idler, mainly for the front sprocket. And let's see, got to make sure that we get something down in that little hole there. And I'm going to make a tool. I saw on Bruce Pender's channel, he has actually made himself a tool with a toothpick and a piece of wire from a wire brush, which is all I ever use. This is a piece of wire from a wire brush. And of course what happens is I'm always plucking or cutting, like I did that one and it went flying and I have no idea where it went. Plucking or cutting a new wire off my brush. I suppose if I did it long enough, I would end up cutting all the bristles off my brush, although that's not likely to happen at my age. But here we are. You can see the little orifice, or maybe you can't see it, right here. And I take my piece of wire and I stick it right down in there. See that? Yep. And if I get that to go in and out just fine and dandy, then I know that it is clear. And I need to go clean the rest of it on the wire wheel. So that's all clean and ready to go. We'll shoot some carburetor through it, carburetor clean through it just because we can and because we should. That's ready to go. Now we need to wipe off my needle valves. They're nice and clean. Get yourself a nice clean paper towel or a rag and wipe them down so they're relatively dry. There's two different ones on this one. This is the one that goes in from the bottom. This is the high speed metering valve. The one that goes in the side is the idle speed adjustment, fuel mixture adjustment. And of course we have our needle valve right here. This one's solid steel. Some of them have a rubber tip on them. This one does not. Put our gasket back on our valve part. And we'll screw come on. Okay, maybe I got it wrong. I did. The shorter one goes in here. Now what I'm going to do, I don't know what the setting was before, but I'm going to crank it all the way down to stop, and you can see where the slot is, and we take my screwdriver and I'm going to go half, 1, and 1/2. That's a good starting place. And I have blown through these parts on the carburetor, so we're going to put this valve, metering valve, back in here. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to take this and crank it all the way in till it stops. Don't crank it tight against it, just till it stops. And we're almost vertical, so we're going to go half, 1, and 1/2. And that's a good starting point for any carburetor that you're doing. Now, I haven't finished cleaning this out, but it's already a whole lot better than it was. And this time I'm going to grab a much cleaner paper towel to wipe the inside out. Suppose I could get a brand new towel. See how much dirt there is on there. Yeah, just coming out of here. That's after squirting it with a carburetor cleaner. And for sitting in the tank for a couple hours, it's actually started stripping the paint off the outside, which is the factory paint. I'm going to finish with a perfectly clean towel so that I get all of the gobbledygooks out. There's no more. Even as clean as that was, I'm already getting some more dirt out of there. Now the very next thing we got to do is get our float and find a clean spot on this half dirty paper towel and wipe the float off. It wasn't all that dirty to begin with. And we'll set it down in place here. Oh, before we do that, we're going to hook our valve on there, our needle. See how that's hooked in there? Alright, so that needle will drop down into the seat, which is here on the carburetor. The seat has a neoprene seat in it, and it looks to be pretty good. I do have my glasses on, in case you were wondering. And then, once that's in place, we merely slide the pivot pin back into place. And you have to line it up with the float and then the other side of the casting where it slides into place, if you can get it all lined up at once. And it helps if you don't have shaky hand like I do. Now, the other thing you want to notice is that your float wants to be almost perfectly level, parallel with the seat of the carburetor, the body of the carburetor. And this one is very close enough. And last but not least, before we put the float bowl on, I want to clean this rubber gasket. This already has seen some rough days, but it's still relatively pliable. I've seen some that are so hard, you just pick them up and they're so brittle they just break in your hands. So we're just going to clean this one as good as we can without being too rough on it. And put it down on here. And we did not put this into the carburetor cleaner, because carburetor cleaner sometimes has a tendency to swell the rubbers up. And so this one still fits on there nicely. See that? Now, you'll notice on the bottom of the float bowl it has a recessed area here. That recessed area goes on parallel with where the needle and seat go, just like this. Remember, the float is going this way, so we want to give the float as much room as we can. That's why this drop down area is like it is, and that allows for that to go. Then we take our high-speed metering valve, which also happens to be the nut to hold our float bowl in place, and we crank that in there, 7/16 wrench, and snug that on there. Don't forget your washer there. Alright, I think now we're ready to put it back on the snowblower and give it a try. Hi guys and gals, it's the next day, and somewhere I lost the footage of me starting this after I cleaned the carburetor out and got it back on. So I'm going to do a quickie start for you now, and you can see all the other projects I've been working on this past week, and I haven't made a final decision on this yet. But this one here I'm going to sell it as is. The John Deere, I told you I'm waiting on a gas tank. Supposedly it'll be here tomorrow. I fixed one of the two bicycles. I tightened up all the slats and stiffened up all of the workings on that picnic bench. And we did this snowblower, which I'm going to start for you right now. It runs well, starts pretty well. I guess they probably didn't need to use the whole choke. There it is. Successful clean out on that carburetor. Ready to be put out front for sale. Thanks for watching, commenting, and for subscribing. How many traps do you have in your backyard? I decided if I'm driving 10 miles one way to get rid of these things, we're going to do them two at a time. Cut down on our overhead, you know what I mean? And you know how it is with squirrels. You never run out of them. No matter how many we get rid of, there'll be others to replace them. And one more thing, look at the berries in my mountain ash tree. Look at them things. Yeah, you know what that means? There's lots of them, and that means that we're going to be having cedar waxwings coming in just as soon as they turn a little bit more on the red side. So that'll be exciting. You only see them every 2 or 3 years. They don't come every year because the tree doesn't put out that much fruit every year. Thanks for watching, commenting, and subscribing. Bye for now.